The desert air was still when Marcus Hale stepped forward. He was the only human in the center of the alien arena, and every pair of glowing violet eyes watched him with quiet judgment. The Zirathi tribe stood in a wide circle around him, their tall, elegant forms rising like statues. Their armor glimmered in the sunlight, and their whispers moved like wind across stone. Marcus had just saved their village from a raider attack. He had arrived on the planet as a simple engineer, not a warrior, but when the raiders struck, he was the only one who stood between the villagers and death. Now, according to their ancient tradition, he was owed a reward, a wife of his choice from the tribe's unwed women. The idea made Marcus uncomfortable. He had never asked for this. He wasn't here for glory or gifts. He only wanted to help. But refusing the offer was seen as an insult, and he had already refused once. They told him he would offend the entire tribe if he refused again. So he agreed to choose, even though he felt strange about it. Now the unwed women stood in a line before him. They were beautiful even by human standards, tall, lean, and shining under the afternoon sun. Their skin tones ranged from pale lavender to deep violet, and their long silver hair flowed behind them. Many smiled softly, hoping he would choose them. Some looked nervous. Others looked proud. But among them stood one woman who did not smile. She kept her face covered with a metal half-mask, hiding everything from her nose down. Her armor was darker, older, and her posture was tense rather than graceful. While the other women stood proudly, she kept her head slightly lowered, as if waiting to be dismissed. The villagers whispered around her, "Not her. She is the ugliest among us. She hides her face for a reason. No warrior will choose her." Marcus heard every whisper. He glanced at her again. She wasn't ugly to him. Her eyes, sharp, bright, and full of something painful, held more story than all the others. There was something heavy in the way she stood, like she carried a burden no one else cared about. The chief of the village stepped forward. "Human Marcus, today you choose your wife. Any woman here may be yours. This choice will unite you with our people." Marcus's gaze moved from face to face, and all he saw were strangers. But when he looked at the masked woman, something inside him paused. She did not move. She did not try to attract his attention. In fact, she seemed to want the opposite. And strangely, that told Marcus more about her than all the others. He stepped toward her. A wave of shock moved through the crowd like rolling thunder. The other women tensed. Several men muttered under their breath. Marcus stopped only a few feet in front of her. She slowly raised her eyes, confused. Her voice was low and unsure. "You choose me?" Marcus nodded. "Yes, if you will agree." The entire arena fell silent. Even the wind paused. The chief's eyes widened. "Human, you choose Verena? Are you certain?" Marcus nodded again. He didn't know her name before, but now he had it. Verena. A strong name for someone who looked like she had lived through storms. Verena took a small step back. Her gloves trembled. She stared at Marcus as if he had spoken an impossible sentence. "Why? I am not like the others." "I can see that," Marcus said gently. "And I don't choose based on beauty." Her eyes softened just a little. For a moment, she looked like someone who had forgotten what kindness felt like. But then, something unexpected happened. A little hand gripped the edge of Verena's long cloak. A tiny figure peeked from behind her, a small alien girl, no older than 6. She had bright lavender skin, wide, frightened eyes, and long pale hair that matched Verena's. She held onto the cloak with desperate fingers. A child, a daughter. Gasps filled the air. The tribe stepped back as if they had seen a ghost. Marcus blinked in surprise. Verena froze, her entire body locking in fear. Her daughter pressed closer to her leg, shaking. The chief's voice erupted with anger. "Verena, you hid your child from us." Murmurs rose like a rising storm. "She lied. She is impure. She was never allowed to be chosen." Verena dropped to one knee, shielding her little girl with both arms. "Please," she whispered, "do not hurt her. She is my only—" Marcus stepped between her and the tribe before she could finish the sentence. His voice was calm but firm. "Enough. A child doesn't make her unworthy. The chief glared. Human Marcus, you made your choice without knowing the truth. This woman is not young. She is not whole. She is not. She is a mother, Marcus interrupted, and she has more courage than any person here. The tribe fell silent again. Verena stared at him, wide-eyed. Her daughter peeked at him from behind her arm. The chief's voice lowered. Do you still choose her even now? Marcus looked at Verena, then at the little girl, holding her arm like she was holding on to her whole world. Yes, he said, now more than ever. Verena covered her mouth with her hand. Her eyes filled with something shining. Hope, fear, gratitude, pain, everything mixed together. The little girl stepped out from behind her mother. She walked to Marcus slowly, carefully, like a frightened animal. Then she touched his hand. Her voice was small and shaking. Thank you, human. Marcus knelt down, so he was eye level with her. You're safe now. And in that moment, everything changed. The tribe watched in silence. Verena whispered, You have no idea what you just stepped into. Marcus rose to his feet. Then tell me, I'm here now. Her eyes darkened, and for the first time Marcus realized there was a secret in this tribe much larger than a hidden child. The walk back to human outpost felt long and strangely quiet. The woman, Lyra, kept her head lower the whole way, her steps light, almost silent. Dane noticed she kept glancing around as if expecting someone to follow, but every time she looked, she forced herself to stare straight ahead again. The captains and soldiers marching behind them whisper among themselves. Some laughed softly, confused about Dane's choice. Others simply accepted it. Humans had different values than most species, and Dane was known to be unpredictable. But no one questioned him out loud. He had earned his respect during the campaign. As they reached the camp gates, Lyra flinched at the sound of metal doors closing behind her. Dane slowed his steps so she could walk beside him instead of behind. He noticed she kept her hands curled close to her chest, hiding the broken bracelet she wore. Inside camp, things were calmer. Tents lined the path. Humans walked to and from the armory. A few alien workers carried water barrels. The air smelled of cooking food, which made Lyra blink fast as if she were trying not to react. Are you hungry? Dane asked. She shook her head quickly. No, I can eat later. Please, you don't need to worry about me. Dane studied her. She was trembling, trying to make her fear invisible, yet everything about her movements told the truth. He led her toward the supply tent anyway. When they stepped inside, the warm smell of soup filled the air. Lyra froze at the entrance. Her eyes widened at the sight of full pots and baskets of bread. Dane gave her a small bowl. Eat! Lyra held the bowl with both hands, but didn't lift it to her mouth. Instead, she stared at the door behind them, as if expecting someone to enter at any moment. Dane sat across from her and kept his voice calm. You've been starving. She shook her head again. No, I gave my share away. To who? Lyra lowered her head. It doesn't matter now. It matters to me. Her fingers tightened around the bowl. She finally took a slow sip, then another. The warmth spread through her body. A soft sound escaped her throat, half relief, half pain. When she finally finished, Dane motioned for her to follow him outside again. The sun had risen completely now, and the camp was bright. Lyra winced and instinctively stepped into the shade of a tent pole. Are you afraid of the light? Dane asked. No, only of being seen. The answer made Dane curious. He crossed his arms. Who are you hiding from? Lyra didn't speak. Her eyes moved toward the forest far beyond the camp walls. For a moment Dane thought she saw someone. Her lips parted, just slightly, but she forced herself to look away. Dane didn't push her further. Not yet. Instead, he guided her to a quieter part of camp where a temporary home was being set up for her. It wasn't much, just a simple tent, a clean mat, and a wooden box for her belongings. But when Lyra stepped inside, she gasped softly. Her hand trailed across the blanket, like she was touching something sacred. You can rest, Dane said gently. No one will harm you here. She turned to him, confused. Why? Why are you being kind? Because I chose you, he answered. Not as a burden, not as punishment. I want you to live without fear. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. She tried to hide. I don't understand. You don't need to, Dane replied. Just stay safe. He stepped outside and closed the flap, giving her privacy. But Lyra did not lie down. Instead, she rushed to the back of the tent, knelt on the ground, and lifted the edge of the fabric just enough to peek outside. Her breathing sped up. She searched the distant tree line again. Her voice slipped out in a whisper too soft for anyone else to hear. She followed us. I can feel it. The forest did not move. Yet Lyra was certain. Her daughter was out there. Later that evening, Dane sat with his team reviewing report of enemy survivors in the nearby region. Most soldiers believed all threats had been wiped out. But young Scout approached with unusual news. Sir, we found tracks near the west perimeter. Very small tracks. Not animal. Dane frowned. How small? Child-sized, the Scout answered. Dane's mind snapped back to Lyra's strange behavior, to the way she kept watching the forest, to her constant fear. Something connected. Show me. The Scout led him to the outer fence, where faint footprints marked the dirt. Small, light, and quick, whoever made them move with care. Dane knelt, touching the prints. A child who had been watching the camp. No, watching Lyra. He stood slowly. Whoever it is, don't alarm the soldiers yet. I'll handle this myself. As the Scout nodded and left, Dane remained where he was, staring into the darkening forest. If Lyra truly had a daughter, then the story was far from over. Behind him, somewhere in the camp, Lyra whispered to herself again, Please stay hidden. Please stay safe. But the child, small, brave, and desperate, was already much closer than Lyra feared, much closer than Dane realized. Night fell quietly over the human camp. Soldiers gathered near fires, eating dinner and telling stories from the day's work. Metallic tools clanked in the armory. Officers walked between tents giving orders. Everything seemed normal, but Dane's attention stayed fixed on the forest. He could not forget the tiny footprints. He could not ignore Lyra's fear. Something was out there, watching. He walked to her tent slowly, trying not to startle her. When he reached the entrance, he stopped. The sound inside made him freeze. Lyra was crying, not loudly, not wildly. It was the quiet kind of crying, the kind someone tries to hide. Dane lifted the flap, just enough to see her sitting on the ground with her arms wrapped around her knees. Her forehead pressed against him as she whispered into the dark. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I couldn't keep you safe. Dane stepped back before she noticed him. He gave her privacy, but her words cut deeply. Who was she apologizing to? While the camp slept, a small shadow crept through the tall grass outside the walls. The figure moved slowly, hiding behind crates, stones, and storage barrels. Not a sound came from her bare feet. It was a child. Her skin glowed faint lavender beneath the moonlight. Her hair, pale and long, fell messily over her shoulders. Her eyes, wide and alert, studied the camp with suspicion. She was much thinner than a child should be, and her clothes were torn and dusty. Still, she was fast, clever, careful. She reached the far edge of the camp and crouched behind a tall water barrel. From here, she had a perfect view of Lyra's tent. Her chest rose and fell as she watched the fabric move slightly in the breeze. Mother, she whispered. Her voice was tiny but full of worry. She wanted to run to Lyra immediately, but she didn't trust the humans. She had seen what soldiers did to people like her, people who didn't belong. She had seen how humans dragged prisoners away, how they shouted, how they fought. She didn't know Dane. She didn't know if he was kinder than the others or just wearing a friendly mask. She didn't understand why her mother was taken from the place she hid. The child pressed her hands together tightly, eyes locked on Lyra's tent. She would wait. She would watch. She would not let anyone harm her mother. Not again. Dane returned to his own tent, but sleep wouldn't come. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Lyra crying. He saw the footprints. He saw the fear she tried to hide every time someone walked past her. He knew she was holding something back. Something big. When the moon climbed high, Dane stepped out again. The camp was almost silent now, only the light wind moving between the tents. He walked past the fire pit and the storage crates. His steps were quiet. Then he stopped. A shape moved beside the water barrel. Very small, very fast. Dane didn't move for several seconds. He only watched. The child peeked around the barrel again, her eyes glowing faintly in the moonlight. She was staring straight at Lyra's tent. He understood instantly. The child wasn't Spy. She wasn't lost. She was Lyra's daughter, and she had followed them here alone. Dane slowly crouched, trying not to scare her. "It's okay," he whispered. "I won't hurt you." The child jerked back into hiding. She hugged her knees, shaking. Dane stayed in place. "You're watching over your mother, aren't you?" No answer. He continued softly. "She's safe here. You can be safe too." Still no answer. But he saw her breathing quicken. She wanted to run, but she also wanted to stay close. Dane placed his hands on the ground, so she could see he wasn't reaching for anything. His voice remained gentle. "I know you're afraid, but your mother cried tonight because she misses you." The child's head lifted slightly. Her eyes glimmered. "Yes, she heard that." Dane kept going. "If you want, I can take you to her. I won't touch you. I won't force you. Just walk with me." The child hesitated. Her fingers tightened and loosened again. She looked from Dane to the tent, then back to Dane. Finally, she crawled out from behind the barrel. Her tiny feet stepped carefully, as if each move might trigger danger. She stayed several meters away from Dane, but walked in the same direction he pointed. They moved together, slowly, toward Lyra's tent. When they reached it, Dane stopped and whispered, "She's inside." The child's breath trembled. Her hand hovered over the flap, but didn't touch it. She looked at Dane again, searching his face for danger. Dane nodded gently. "Go. She needs you." The child pulled the flap aside and slipped inside. Dane stayed outside, giving them space. Inside the tent, Lyra lifted her head sharply. Her eyes widened in disbelief. "Rinna?" Her daughter rushed into her arms before she could finish speaking. Lyra wrapped the child tightly against her chest and sobbed into her hair. "My baby, my brave girl, how did you—" Rinna clung to her mother, crying softly. "I didn't want to lose you again." Dane heard the muffled voices from outside. He turned away, letting them reunite in peace. But as he walked back into the night, one thought echoed in his mind. If Lyra hid her daughter from her own people, there had to be a reason, and that reason was coming for them. The next morning, the village square felt different. The air was heavy, as if the sky itself was waiting to see what would happen. People whispered behind their hands. Some watched the house of Caldus with worry. Others watched with curiosity. A few watched with jealousy, wishing they had been chosen instead. Inside the house, Erin woke before the sun. She had barely slept. Strange dreams kept returning. Dreams of her mother standing in darkness, shielding her with her body. Dreams of soldiers. Dreams of screams. She did not know if they were only dreams or memories her mind had buried long ago. Caldus was already awake. He sat at the table, sharpening a small metal tool. The sound of scraping filled the room. He did not smile today. He looked troubled. Sarah moved around the room slowly, her hands shaking. She tried to hide it, but Erin could see her mother's fear clearly now. Sarah avoided her daughter's eyes, as if she did not know how to speak about yesterday. Finally, Caldus stood. "Today," he said quietly, "the elders want to see us." Sarah stopped moving. The wooden cup she held slipped from her fingers and hit the floor. It rolled under the table. Erin felt something inside her tighten. "Why?" Caldus opened his mouth, but he did not answer immediately. He took a long breath. Because of what the girl said. Because she lifted a child who is almost her own age. Because she reacted. He looked straight at Erin. And because the elders are afraid of things they do not understand. Erin's heart pounded. "Did I do something wrong?" "No," Caldus said firmly, "but they may still blame you for it." Sarah finally spoke, her voice thin. "Caldus, she is just a child." "No," Caldus said softly. "She is not." Aaron felt the words hit her like a stone. They left the house in silence. Villagers watched them, stepping aside as they walked. Some mothers pulled their children closer. Some men nodded respectfully at Caldus. Others glared at Aaron. She felt their eyes like knives. They reached the Elders' Hall, a long stone building with carved walls. 2 armored guards stood at the entrance. They glanced at Aaron with suspicion. Inside, 5 elders sat around a circular table. Their faces were old, their eyes sharp. Elder Varn, the eldest of them, leaned forward. "Caldus," he said, "you brought her quickly. Good." Cyril lowered her head but said nothing. Caldus kept his shoulders straight, though Aaron could tell he was tense. Elder Varn turned his attention to Aaron. "Child," he said, "you showed unnatural strength yesterday. You lifted someone older than you with no effort." "How?" Aaron swallowed. "I don't know. I just wanted the girl to be safe." The elders whispered among themselves. Another elder, Elder Kesa, asked, "Do you understand what you are capable of?" "No," Aaron admitted softly. "I don't even understand why everyone is scared." Caldus stepped between Aaron and the elders. "She is still young. You cannot question her like." But Elder Varn raised a hand. "We are not questioning only her. We are questioning you, Caldus. You took a reward wife without knowing her full background. You took a woman who hid a child with—" Sarah suddenly lifted her head. Her voice came out sharp and strong. "Enough." The hall fell silent. Sarah took one step forward. "You speak as though my daughter is dangerous. You speak as if she is a mistake. She is not. She is my child. You will not talk about her like she is a weapon." Aaron stared at her mother, shocked. She had never heard Sarah speak with such power. Elder Varn narrowed his eyes. "Sarah, you forget your place." "No," Sarah said. "I know exactly my place. It is beside my daughter. No elder, no soldier, no law will change that." Caldus stared at her in surprise. The elders looked offended. But Aaron saw something else on their faces, too. Fear. Sarah continued, her voice steady. "Aaron is strong. Yes, stronger than other children her age. But strength does not make her a threat. It makes her someone worth protecting." Elder Kesa leaned back. "Where does her strength come from?" Sarah hesitated. Everyone noticed. Aaron felt her stomach twist. Her mother knew something. She had always known something. Caldus stepped in. "Sarah, if you know something, you must—" "No," Sarah said sharply. "There are truths that bring danger simply by being spoken. I will not put my child at risk." The elders whispered again, louder this time. Aaron felt their suspicion grow. Elder Varn said, "If you hide information, we must assume the worst. The child may be—" But then, unexpectedly, Caldus spoke with a calm but powerful voice. "She is under my protection," he said. "You fear what you do not understand. But I fear what you will do if you continue this path." The elders glared at him. Caldus continued, "I will take responsibility for her training, for her safety, for her control. No harm will come from her, not unless harm comes to her. I swear it." Cyril looked at him, not with fear this time, but with something closer to gratitude. Elder Varn sat back slowly. "Very well, but if the girl shows abnormal behavior again, we will investigate further. And we will expect full honesty from you, Sarah." Sarah said nothing. Aaron felt the meeting ending, but the fear in her heart stayed. Something was wrong. Something was being hidden from her. Something about who she was, or what she was. As they left the hall, Sarah held Aaron's hand tightly, but her hand was shaking, because she knew the truth, and soon Aaron would know it too. The walk back from the elders' hall felt colder than the morning air. Aaron stayed close to her mother, sensing Sarah's fear with every step. Caldus walked ahead of them, silent and deep in thought. His hand rested on the hilt of his blade, not in anger, but in quiet readiness. He knew something had shifted today, something that could not be undone. When they reached the house, Sarah gently pushed Aaron inside and closed the door behind them. She leaned against it, breathing hard, as if she had outrun a predator. Caldus watched her. You can't keep hiding this from her. Sarah glared at him. She is still a child. She won't be a child for long, Caldus replied calmly. And the elders will not stay patient. They smelled your fear. They know you're hiding something. Next time, they will not ask, they will take. Aaron froze. Something about his tone sent a chill through her. Sarah walked away from him toward the small window, facing the open fields. I know, she whispered, but telling her the truth may put her in even greater danger. Caldus lowered his voice. Sarah, she deserves to know who she is. That was the moment Aaron realized the truth was no longer something distant. It was standing right in front of her, knocking on the door of her life. She took a trembling breath. Mother, please, just tell me. Sarah turned around slowly. Her eyes were filled with pain, old pain, deep pain. She sank to her knees and motioned for Aaron to come closer. Sit with me, she said. Aaron did. Caldus remained standing near the door, watching like a guard detecting a royal secret. Sarah took Aaron's hands in her own. What I'm going to say, you must never repeat. Not even in whispers. Not even to yourself. Aaron nodded, her heart thudding. Sarah closed her eyes for a moment as if preparing herself. Then she began. Before you were born, she said slowly, there was a war. Not the war you learned about. Not the one the elders speak of. This one was hidden, fought in shadows. It was the war of blood. Aaron felt her chest tighten. Blood. Sarah nodded. There are people, not many, only a few, whose bodies were changed by the invaders. Experiments. Trials. Painful things meant to create a new kind of soldier. Aaron's pulse quickened. And you think I'm like them? Sarah shook her head gently and touched Aaron's cheek. Not think, my child. I know. Aaron's breath caught in her throat. Sarah continued, voice trembling. I was taken during the war. Not as a soldier. I was just a village girl. But they took me anyway. They kept me in a cold room. Machines. Needles. Lights that hurt my eyes. They changed my blood. My bones. They wanted to turn me into something stronger. Aaron's hand flew to her mouth. Mother, I didn't know. No one knows, Sarah whispered. Because the day the facility fell, I escaped. I ran until my feet bled. When I reached a safe place, I discovered I was pregnant. She took Aaron's hands again, tighter this time. You were born with their changes. Not all, but enough. Aaron's heart throbbed painfully. That's why I'm strong. Yes, Sarah said softly. Stronger than any human child should be. Your bones heal faster. Your muscles grow quicker. And sometimes your emotions trigger the strength without warning. Aaron remembered the girl she lifted, the fear in the villager's eyes. Her stomach twisted. I didn't mean to, Aaron whispered. I just wanted to help her. I know, Sarah said, pulling her into her arms. You have a kind heart. That is why I protected you. Why I hid you. Why I lied to the elders. Aaron felt her mother shaking, not from weakness, but from fear that had lived inside her for years. Caldus stepped forward and crouched beside them. Aaron, he said gently, your mother did everything to protect you, but now the elders know something is different, and they won't stop. Aaron looked up at him. What will they do? They will test you, Caldus said, force you to show your strength. And if they confirm what you are, they will take you away. Sarah held Aaron tighter. Over my dead body. Aaron felt tears sting her eyes. She wiped them quickly. She didn't want to cry. Not now. Caldus rested a hand on her shoulder. But we won't let that happen. Not while I breathe. But we need to plan. We need to prepare. Aaron swallowed hard. Prepare for what? For the elders, Caldus said. For the truth coming out. For whatever the invaders created inside you. Sarah took Aaron's face in her hands. Listen to me, my child. You are not a weapon. You are not a monster. You are the proof that humans survived what the invaders tried to destroy. You are hope. You must remember that. Aaron wanted to believe it. She really did. But somewhere deep inside her, something else was waking. A feeling she didn't understand. A strength she couldn't control. A truth she wasn't ready for. As night fell, Erin sat alone by the window, staring at her reflection. Her face looked the same. Her eyes were the same. But now she knew. Inside her was something powerful, something dangerous, something the world wasn't ready for. And tomorrow the world might try to claim her. The morning air was sharp and clear. Birds, if they could be called that on this alien planet, chirped faintly in the trees near the human camp. But Erin felt no peace. Her mother, Sarah, had been unusually quiet during breakfast. Even Caldus moved more slowly than usual, as if he were thinking about something heavy. Erin could not stop thinking about her own strength. She had felt it surge inside her the night before, in ways she did not understand. Sometimes her arms shook from it. Sometimes her legs moved faster than she could control. And always a small, dangerous fire burned inside her chest. Caldus finally spoke, breaking the silence. "Erin," he said, "today the elders will arrive here. They want to see your abilities." Erin froze. Her fork slipped from her hand. "See my abilities?" she whispered. "Yes," Caldus said calmly. "They suspect what your mother told me. They want proof." Sarah shook her head, panic flashing across her face. "No, they cannot." Caldus placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "They will not harm you if we do this carefully. But hiding it now will only make it worse." Erin felt her heart pound. She wanted to run. She wanted to hide. But she also knew running would not stop what was coming. By midday, the elders arrived at the camp. They walked silently, flanked by guards. The leader, Elder Varn, wore a sharp expression. His eyes scanned the tent, lingering for a moment on Erin. The girl felt exposed under his gaze, like a small animal under a predator's eye. The elders led them to an open field. It was small, circular, and empty, perfect for testing. Erin could feel the tension in the air. Villagers gathered around, whispers floating on the breeze. Even some human soldiers stopped to watch. Elder Varn stepped forward. "Child," he said, voice loud and cold, "you'll show us the truth. You will demonstrate the strength your mother hides, or we will take measures ourselves." Erin's stomach twisted. She glanced at her mother. Sarah's hands were clenched tightly, but her eyes met Erin's, filled with silent encouragement. Caldus nodded. "Remember what I told you. You are not a weapon. You are hope. Control it. Show only what is necessary." Erin swallowed. Her pulse thundered in her ears. She stepped into the circle. Her feet felt heavy. The eyes of every elder, every villager, and every soldier pressed on her like invisible weights. Elder Varn lifted a hand. "Begin." Erin focused. She remembered what her mother had said. "You are strong, but you are not dangerous. Control it." The air around her seemed to hum. She could feel her muscles tightening. Her bones ached, but not in pain. Something deeper, almost electric. She lifted a nearby rock with ease. It hovered for a second in the air. The crowd gasped. Then she pushed further. The rock spun slowly, twisting in midair. Erin's eyes widened. She could feel the energy inside her building, pulsing faster. Her hands glowed faintly, almost like fire under her skin. Elder Varn stepped forward. "Impressive," he said, his voice even but wary. "But can you control it?" Erin swallowed and concentrated harder. She willed the rock to float gently down. It landed on the ground without breaking. The crowd murmured. Even Caldus exhaled slowly. Sarah's face was pale. She whispered to herself, "My child, my brave child." Elder Varn studied Erin closely. "It is true," he said finally. "The child carries the blood of the invader's experiments. But she also carries the heart of her mother. And perhaps," he paused, eyes narrowing slightly, "she carries something evil we cannot understand." Erin felt a mixture of relief and fear. The test was over, for now, but she knew it was only the beginning. The elder's interest would not fade. Caldus stepped forward. "You saw what she can do. She is under my protection, as promised. Any aggression toward her will not be tolerated." Sarah moved to Erin's side. She wrapped her arm around her daughter, holding her close. "We will train you," she whispered. "We will prepare you, but we must be careful. There are others who will see your strength as a threat." Erin looked up at her mother. "Others? Who?" Syrah did not answer immediately. She only shook her head, her expression hardening, one step at a time. "For now, survive today." As the elders left the field, whispers followed them. Some villagers looked at Erin with fear, some with admiration. But one thing was clear. She had changed the way everyone saw her. Alone with her mother and Caldus, Erin finally exhaled. "I don't know if I can control it," she admitted quietly. "You will learn," Caldus said, "but you must. Soon, much more depend on it than just your life." Erin looked at the horizon. Somewhere beyond the trees, beyond the hills, danger was coming, and she had a feeling it would not wait for her to be ready. Her hands itched with energy. Her heart raced, and deep inside, a part of her felt alive in a way it never had before. For the first time, she realized that being different was not just a curse. It might also be the only way to survive. And soon, she would need every ounce of that power. The night came faster than expected. The camp was quiet, almost too quiet. Torches flickered in the wind, casting long shadows across the tents. Erin sat on the ground outside her temporary home, staring at her hands. The faint glow of her energy pulsed slightly, and she could feel it building again. Her mother, Syrah, knelt beside her, hands resting lightly on Erin's shoulders. "It's okay, my child," she said softly. "You've faced the elders. You've shown them your strength. But now the real challenge is coming." Erin's heart skipped. "The real challenge? What do you mean?" Syrah looked toward the horizon, where the forest's edge was dark and still. "There are others, those who experimented with blood like yours. They never stopped watching. They never stopped planning. The elders may protect you for now, but they cannot stop them forever." Before Erin could respond, a sudden shadow moved through the trees. Small but fast, her daughter instinct instinctively tensed. Her pulse raced. From the darkness, a group of figures emerged, tall, armored, and clearly not from this world. Their skin was pale, almost gray, and their eyes glowed red in the torchlight. They carried strange weapons that hummed softly. Syrah gasped. "They found you." Dane, standing near Caldus, stepped forward. "Erin, now is the time," he said firmly. Erin's legs trembled. She had never used her full power before. She looked at her mother, and then at the approaching figures. Her energy pulsed stronger now, and the air seemed to vibrate around her. "Remember what I taught you," Syrah whispered. "Control it. Protect yourself and me." Erin took a deep breath. She lifted her hands. The air around her shimmered, bending slightly like water. The figures hesitated as they felt the invisible barrier forming. Then, in an instant, Erin unleashed her power. A wave of force pushed the intruders back, sending them stumbling and crashing into the dirt. Sparks flew from the tips of their weapons as they tried to resist. The villagers, watching from a distance, gasped. Even the elders could not believe the display. This child, small and human in appearance, was capable of destroying fully armed soldiers with mere gesture. Syrah's eyes filled with pride, but also fear. "Erin, careful!" she shouted as more enemies advanced. Erin focused harder. She lifted stones, weapons, and even sand into the air, spinning them with invisible hands. Each attack was precise. She did not harm the camp, only the invaders. Each move was controlled, refined, just as Caldus had taught her. Dane and Caldus moved beside her, shielding her from anything that slipped past her force. But Erin no longer felt helpless. She felt powerful. She felt alive. The intruders, realizing brute force could not break through, tried to flank her, but Erin anticipated them. Her energy pulsed outward in a wide arc, pushing them into the trees. Branches snapped, dust rose, and a low hum filled the air. Finally, the lead figure, larger than the rest and armored in black metal, stepped forward. Its weapon glowed bright red. "Child," it said in a cold, metallic voice, "you were never meant to survive. Surrender now." Erin's hands glowed brighter than ever. She looked directly into its glowing eyes. "I will never surrender," she said firmly. In an instant, her power surged. A wave of pure energy erupted from her body, knocking the leader backward and sending the remaining soldiers fleeing. The forest shook. The ground cracked. Dust and debris rose into the night sky. When the energy dissipated, silence fell. The only sound was a crackle of burning wood and the soft breathing of those who remained. Erin dropped to her knees, exhausted, but triumphant. Sarah rushed forward and hugged her tightly. "You did it, my daughter. You protected us all." Erin looked at her mother, and then at Dane and Caldus. I didn't know I could." "Yes," Dane said, smiling faintly. "And now you know. You are not just a child. You are a protector. You are stronger than anyone imagined." The elders, who had witnessed everything from a safe distance, stepped forward. Elder Varn's eyes were wide, but now filled with respect. "You are extraordinary," he said. "The child who was hidden, the one we doubted, has shown true strength and wisdom. Perhaps even humanity has never seen this before." Erin's mother nodded, tears in her eyes. "You are never ordinary, Erin. That strength, it is your gift, but it is also your responsibility." Erin looked toward the horizon. Somewhere beyond the hills, more challenges awaited. But for now, the camp was safe. She had proven herself, not just to the humans, not just to the elders, but to herself. She took a deep breath and stood tall. Her hands no longer glowed faintly. They were calm now. Her pulse slowed. She smiled at her mother and whispered, "I won't hide anymore." Sarah hugged her again. "Good. And we will face the future together. Always." As dawn approached, the first rays of sunlight touched the camp. Erin looked at the rising sun. She was no longer just a child hidden in fear. She was strong. She was human. And she was ready for whatever the universe dared to throw at her. For the first time in her life, Erin knew one thing for certain. The world would never forget her name.